Chosen one. While they were busy spreading lies, twisting stories, and creating drama around your name, you did something they never expected. You disappeared into the shadows and built an empire. Their attempts to tear you down have become the foundation of your legend, and now the same people who tried to bury you are the ones telling everyone how powerful you are. You outlasted all the misinformation by simply refusing to play their game, and now you're about to show them what real power looks like. You remember that pivotal moment when you made the decision that confused everyone around you. Maybe you walked away from a job that looked perfect on paper. Perhaps you stepped back from a social circle that had defined your identity for years. You might have ended a relationship that everyone thought was going somewhere, or left an organization where you seemed to be climbing the ladder. The key detail that nobody expected: you didn't make a dramatic exit. No burning bridges, no public announcements, no social media manifestos explaining your choice. You simply disappeared from that situation. That silence created something more powerful than any explanation could have achieved. In a world where everyone overshares their decisions, your discretion became magnetic. People started dissecting your departure like investigators examining evidence at a crime scene. They must have gotten a better offer, some whispered. Nobody walks away from something that's stable unless they have inside information. Others went deeper into conspiracy territory. I heard they're starting their own empire. Word is they're about to become the CEO of something massive. The speculation grew wings and started flying through networks you didn't even know existed. Your name began appearing in conversations about power moves and strategic genius. People started treating your departure not as a loss, but as proof of your next-level thinking. You had become the person who was always operating from a higher vantage point, even when you were just trying to find solid ground. What nobody realized yet was that this was just the beginning of your transformation. The real plot twist was still coming, and it would make their wildest theories look conservative. While you were taking your first steps into unknown territory, something fascinating was brewing in the digital shadows. Screenshots of your professional profiles started circulating in private messages. Screenshots showing new titles, new company affiliations, new levels of responsibility that seemed to confirm what the early adopters had suspected. "Look at this," they typed in encrypted group chats. Check the date this was updated. They knew this was coming weeks before they made their move. The documentation became currency in these underground networks. People traded information about your transition like stocks, each piece of evidence adding value to the overall narrative. Your LinkedIn updates became breaking news. Your professional associations became headline stories. Your career moves became case studies in strategic planning. Some claimed to have insider knowledge about the recruitment process that led to your new position. Others insisted they had connections who could verify the salary negotiations that preceded your departure. The most creative storytellers suggested they had access to the private meetings where your name came up as the solution to problems others couldn't solve. Every detail, whether real or imagined, added another layer to the mystique. You weren't just someone who changed jobs. You were someone who had been headhunted by forces operating at levels most people never glimpse. The underground was building towards something massive, and your actual reveal would exceed even their most ambitious theories. While you were taking time to breathe, to reassess, to figure out your authentic next move, something fascinating began brewing in the spaces you'd vacated. Without you there to explain yourself, to minimize your decisions, or to correct people's wild assumptions, the stories about you developed their own ecosystem. They saw something coming that we couldn't see. Became the prevailing theory. Smart people don't abandon security unless they have access to information the rest of us don't. The rumors started modest but evolved into something almost mythological. You became the person who could read between the lines of situations, who had connections others couldn't fathom, who played chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Some claimed you had been recruited for something so significant it required complete discretion. Others insisted you were avoiding attention because your new position was so high-level that public knowledge would compromise operational security. The theories ranged from believable to absolutely outrageous, yet they all shared one common thread. They made you sound untouchable. You weren't there to deny anything. You weren't there to clarify misconceptions. Your absence became its own form of validation. When someone questioned the stories, there was no voice saying, "That's completely wrong." There was just silence, and in a world drowning in noise, silence sounds like authority. Your former colleagues started reinterpreting past interactions through this new lens. That time you asked detailed questions about industry regulations? Obviously, you were already planning your strategic exit. That period when you seemed unusually focused on building specific skills. Clearly, you knew exactly what qualifications you would need for your next level. The mystery was building toward something none of them could predict. Your strategic withdrawal was about to pay dividends in ways that would shock everyone who thought they had you figured out. The whispers evolved into something darker and more intriguing. People began attributing an almost supernatural level of strategic intelligence to your every historical decision. You became the person who could orchestrate outcomes from behind curtains, who wielded influence in circles others couldn't access. They're not just successful in obvious ways, the evolving narrative claimed. They're connected to something bigger. They know people who know people. They have access to rooms where real decisions get made. Some storytellers suggested you were part of exclusive networks, invitation-only societies, underground operations that mainstream society never glimpses. Others claimed you possessed information about powerful figures, intelligence that could reshape entire industries if it ever surfaced. The most creative theorists painted you as someone living a sophisticated, double life, presenting as approachable and humble while secretly orchestrating complex schemes that moved markets and influenced outcomes. You became the ultimate undercover strategist, the person who attended community events while privately pulling strings that controlled much larger games. These weren't casual gossip sessions anymore. People were reverse engineering your past decisions, searching for clues they might have overlooked. Every success in your history got reframed as evidence of your master plan. Every obstacle you'd overcome became proof of your ability to neutralize threats. They started connecting dots that didn't necessarily belong together. That time you took a sudden business trip, obviously a clandestine meeting with decision makers. That period when you were unusually quiet on social media, clearly you were managing sensitive negotiations that required discretion. Your professional network became a subject of intense scrutiny. People analyzed your connections, looking for patterns, searching for the power brokers who might have facilitated your transformation. Your educational background got examined for clues about secret societies or exclusive programs that granted access to hidden opportunities. You were no longer just someone who made a career pivot. You had become a force of nature who operated according to principles others couldn't comprehend. The most incredible part was still ahead. What they were about to witness would make all their theories seem conservative by comparison. Something profound happens when people start viewing you through the lens of hidden power and strategic brilliance. Their entire approach to interacting with you changes, often in ways they don't even realize. The transformation in how people perceived your intelligence was particularly striking. Comments you'd made months earlier were suddenly being quoted as evidence of your predictive capabilities. Decisions that had seemed risky at the time were now being referenced as examples of your ability to see opportunities others missed. Even your silence got interpreted as strategic. When you didn't respond immediately to messages, people assumed you were managing more important communications. When you declined social invitations, they figured you had high-level meetings. That took priority. This shift in perception was creating a feedback loop that would soon amplify everything you actually achieved. The following is a message from Mike, founder of the Obsidian Inner Order powered by Astral Atom. Look, I know. You came here for your chosen one video, but I need a minute. If I don't speak this into the field now, I might never forgive myself. Some of us were born into fire. Abused, exiled, haunted by truths no one around us could hold. That doesn't mean we're cursed. It means we were chosen to walk through the veil and come back with the map. Inside the Obsidian Inner Order, we gather every week, live on Zoom, face-to-face. And when I say real people, I mean it. A former military drone operator who now uses his mind as the remote. A millionaire CFO who walked away from everything to become a psychic in Noosa. A spiritual healer once trapped inside a satanic cult. A seer, a sage, a soul who left Mormonism, found the Gnosis instead. These are the ones who gave it all up when their calling hit, and that's just a glimpse. Every call is recorded. So when you're alone, when you're crawling through the dirt of your own awakening, you can press play and feel the field again. This is not for everyone, but maybe it's for you. Can you see yourself among us? Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in the description. Thank you all for supporting the broadcast. We quite literally could not do this without you. In the absence of your corrections, other people's interpretations crystallize into your accepted reputation. When those interpretations position you as someone operating from a higher level of awareness, everything shifts in how people interact with you. The stories reached critical mass where they stopped being rumors and became your brand. People who have never met you recognized your name. Acquaintances who barely knew you started approaching you with an entirely different energy. You became the person others referenced when they wanted to illustrate strategic thinking, when they needed an example of someone who understood timing, when they discussed what it looked like to have connections that actually mattered. Your story became the case study others used to demonstrate what authentic power looked like in action. The most powerful element was the irreversible nature of this transformation. Even if you had wanted to minimize the narrative, even if you had attempted to downplay your moves, people had already decided who you were. They had elevated you to a status that felt permanent and unshakable. You were no longer just another person navigating career transitions. You were the person who had mastered the navigation so completely that your moves appeared effortless to everyone watching. The anticipation in your circles was building to fever pitch. People were wondering when you would make your next public move, and what it would reveal about the empire you've been building in secret. Industry insiders started keeping tabs on your activities, treating your decisions as leading indicators of larger market shifts. Recruiters began including you in conversations about positions that hadn't even been posted yet, assuming that someone of your caliber would be interested in opportunities that remained hidden from general circulation. During your time away from public view, you weren't just recovering or planning. You were unconsciously creating the most valuable commodity in a world of constant updates. Scarcity. Every day you remained quiet. Every week you stayed out of the spotlight. Every month you kept your plans private. The anticipation grew stronger. People started checking for signs of your return like they were following a limited edition product launch. Social media profiles got monitored for updates. Mutual connections got questioned about your whereabouts and activities. Professional networks buzzed with speculation about your next announcement. The absence wasn't empty space. It was loaded potential energy. Every day you didn't appear made the eventual appearance more significant. Every week you didn't speak made people more eager to hear what you would say when you finally broke your silence. you had accidentally created the most effective marketing campaign possible, making people want access to something they couldn't have. Your unavailability became more valuable than most people's presence. The beauty was that while everyone else was creating content and fighting for attention, you were building something substantial. While they were broadcasting their every move, you were developing moves worth broadcasting. While they were managing their image, you were becoming someone whose image managed itself. During this strategic pause, something else was happening that would multiply the impact of your return. The people who had been following your story were becoming increasingly invested in the outcome. They had built up so much anticipation, created so many theories, generated so much discussion around your next move, that they were emotionally committed to seeing you succeed at whatever you were planning. The stage was being set for a reveal that would exceed everyone's expectations, including your own. The return happens gradually, then suddenly. Maybe it starts with accepting one invitation you would have declined before. Perhaps it begins with posting something that hints at your new direction. It could be as simple as showing up somewhere looking different, more confident, more settled, more like someone who has found their true frequency. The effect is immediate and electric. People who have been following your absence, like a mystery series, suddenly see the protagonist returning to the story. The anticipation that has been building for months gets its first payoff, and the reality exceeds the speculation. You're not performing confidence, you're embodying it. You're not trying to look successful. You're radiating the contentment of someone who has built something meaningful. You're not playing a role. You're finally being yourself without apology or explanation. To everyone who has been tracking the rumors, your appearance confirms everything they suspected and more. You look like someone who has been exactly where they thought you were, building something significant while everyone else was guessing about your plans. Look at them. People whisper with the satisfaction of amateur detectives whose theories have been validated. We knew something big was happening. We called it. Your legitimate transformation gets amplified through the lens of all those underground legends. Your real growth gets magnified by the mystique that accumulated during your absence. You're not just different. You're the person who was always destined to reach this level, finally revealing what you've become. The conversations around you shift from speculation to recognition. People start approaching you not as someone they're curious about, but as someone they want to be associated with. The most striking aspect of your return is how effortless it appears. You're not trying to prove anything or live up to expectations. You're simply showing up as the person you've become during your time away, and that person exceeds even the most ambitious theories people had constructed about you. Word travels faster than ever in connected networks, and your return sends ripples through every circle that has been following your story. The people who have been building your legend become your involuntary ambassadors, spreading word about your reappearance with the enthusiasm of fans who have been waiting for the next season of their favorite show. They're back becomes the message that travels through professional networks, social circles, and online communities. Not just back in the sense of being visible again, but back in the sense of stepping into a role that feels like destiny. You become the person everyone wants to introduce to their networks. Your story becomes the one people tell when they want to illustrate what strategic thinking looks like in practice. Your journey becomes the template others study when they're planning their own transformations. The most remarkable aspect is how your authentic evolution gets interpreted as masterful personal branding. Your genuine growth gets seen as evidence of sophisticated image management. Your real success gets viewed as proof of your ability to execute complex long-term strategies. You're not trying to be mysterious or powerful. You're just being yourself after taking time to figure out who that actually is. The mystique is a byproduct, not a goal. Your legend becomes a magnet that attracts exactly the kinds of people and opportunities that that can accelerate your continued growth. What the people creating elaborate theories about your success don't understand is that your timing wasn't calculated for maximum impact. Your achievements aren't the result of secret networks or insider knowledge. Your confidence isn't because you're hiding powerful connections. You're thriving because you finally gave yourself permission to step away from situations that were draining your energy. You're succeeding because you use your time away to build something aligned with your authentic values and natural strengths. You're confident because you've learned to trust your instincts instead of constantly seeking validation from others. The favor you're experiencing isn't because you made strategic alliances or tapped into hidden resources. It's because you stopped trying to force yourself into spaces that were too small for who you were becoming. People struggle to believe that genuine success can appear this effortless. They have difficulty accepting that someone can thrive without playing the political games everyone else thinks are mandatory. So they construct elaborate explanations for what they're witnessing. They assume you must have insider information because they can't imagine making bold moves based purely on intuition. They believe you must be connected to influential people because they can't picture building authentic relationships that open doors naturally. They think you must be concealing something powerful because they can't conceive of someone being genuinely confident without secrets to protect. Their need to explain your success in terms they recognize has created a reputation that serves you better than any deliberate strategy could have achieved. Every time someone asks about the rumors swirling around you, you face a choice that will determine your trajectory. You can invest energy in correcting misconceptions and explaining your real story, in setting the record straight about what actually happened during your strategic pause. Or you could recognize that your mystery has become your strength, your legend has become your shield, and your reputation has become your greatest asset. The people who matter most, the ones who recognize authentic quality and understand genuine success, they're not concerned with the rumors. They're observing your results, paying attention to your character, watching how you handle yourself in different situations. The people who are fascinated by the underground legends, who need dramatic explanations for everything they witness, who can't accept that success might be simpler than they imagine. They're not your target audience anyway. Their stories about you create a protective barrier around your real work, a buffer zone that keeps distractions at bay. Nobody challenges the mastermind. Nobody questions the person who supposedly has powerful allies. Nobody undermines someone who might have resources they don't know about. Your reputation as someone who operates from a higher level of awareness gives you space to actually develop that level of awareness. People's assumptions about your power create room for you to build genuine power. Their respect for your supposed connections helps you make real connections that matter. The legend has become a self-fulfilling prophecy, generating the exact outcomes that would make it true. The protective aspect extends beyond just professional interactions. Your mystique creates social distance that filters out people who would drain your energy and attracts those who can contribute to your continued growth. The rumors serve as a screening mechanism, ensuring that the people who do make it into your inner circle are there for substantial reasons rather than casual curiosity. The favor you're experiencing isn't random luck or the result of underground strategies. It's the natural consequence of aligning your actions with your authentic self instead of trying to meet other people's definitions of success. The world struggles to recognize authentic power when it encounters it. People are so accustomed to manufactured success, to networking strategies and image management, that they can't quite believe someone could thrive by simply being genuine and making decisions that feel aligned with their truth. So they create elaborate theories to explain what they're witnessing. They build underground legends to make sense of your trajectory. They attribute your achievements to mysterious forces because they can't accept that you're succeeding by being exactly who you are. The irony is that their inability to believe Inauthentic success has created the exact conditions for your authentic success to flourish. The extraordinary aspect of your current position is that you get to exist in the space between who you actually are and who people believe you to be. The stories about you create opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. The mystique opens doors that might have remained closed. The reputation for operating from a higher level gets you invited to conversations where higher level thinking actually happens. You don't have to become the legend to benefit from it. You don't have to live up to the underground reputation or prove that the wild theories are accurate. You just have to continue being the person who was wise enough to step away from what wasn't working and patient enough to build something that does. The people who created these stories about you were actually recognizing something real, even if they got the details wrong. They saw someone who was willing to make moves that didn't make sense to everyone else. They witnessed someone who valued their own judgment over popular opinion. They watched someone choose their own path, even when it meant disappointing people who had different plans for them. The legend they built around you is their attempt to explain that authentic power. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to correct their explanation. You just need to keep being the person who inspired it. What's happening now is bigger than reputation management or personal branding. You're experiencing the compound effect of authentic power, the way genuine strength builds on itself, creating momentum that becomes unstoppable. Every decision you make from this centered place reinforces your position. Every move you make from authentic motivation adds to your credibility. Every success you achieve through aligned action proves that your approach works. The people who built legends around you are now watching those legends come true, not because you're trying to fulfill their expectations, but because you're finally free to be who you actually are. The mystique they created is being validated by your reality, not because you're playing a role, but because you're no longer hiding your natural capabilities. Your strategic pause wasn't just recovery time, it was preparation for this moment, when your authentic self would emerge strong enough to handle the attention, wise enough to navigate the opportunities, and grounded enough to stay true to your values regardless of external pressures. The compound effect works because each success creates credibility for the next opportunity. Each demonstration of your capabilities increases people's confidence in your potential. Each aligned action builds momentum toward bigger possibilities. You're not just succeeding, you're succeeding in a way that makes continued success inevitable. The foundation you built during your time away is strong enough to support whatever you choose to build next. The most powerful aspect of compound growth is that it eventually reaches a point where the momentum carries itself. You're approaching that threshold where your reputation, your network, your capabilities, and your clarity of purpose combine to create opportunities faster than you can pursue them. While people are still trying to figure out how you achieved your current position, you're already building towards something they can't imagine. The strategic thinking they attribute to your past moves is actually being applied to decisions that will reshape your future in ways that will make your current success look like just the beginning. The network you've inadvertently built through mystery and reputation is becoming the foundation for ventures that will justify every wild theory people have created about your capabilities. The respect you've earned by refusing to explain yourself is creating space for you to operate at levels that would have been impossible if you had remained visible throughout your transformation. You're about to discover that the legend they built around you was actually conservative compared to what you're capable of achieving when you're operating from authentic power, supported by genuine confidence, and freed from the need to prove anything to anyone. You outlasted all the misinformation by never engaging with it directly. You transcended all the rumors by building something real while others were busy building theories. You transformed every wild story into social capital by continuing to show up as someone worthy of the respect you're receiving. The chosen ones don't need to defend their position or explain their methods. They just need to keep choosing themselves, consistently and confidently, until the world recognizes what they've always known, that real power comes from within, and no amount of external speculation can diminish what's genuine. Your time away wasn't hiding, it was preparation. Your silence wasn't secrecy, it was wisdom. Your return isn't a reveal. It's simply the natural next step of someone who knows exactly where they're going, even when everyone else is still trying to figure out where they've been. The most powerful part of your story is still being written. The legend is just the beginning of what you're actually capable of achieving. And the people who built that legend are about to discover that their wildest theories were actually predictions of your true potential finally being unleashed.